Wettbewerb und dementsprechend sind wir weiterhin nah dran für euch. We're absolutely close for you to give you the best images. Und ihr merkt es heute schon wieder zweisprachig unterwegs. We are 2 languages today because of the international fans and the German fans, and we welcome, of course, everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe, it doesn't matter. We all love truck racing. We're here at the Paddock. Wir sind hier natürlich gerade im Paddock und es ist so schön am frühen Morgen, was hier für Bewegung los ist. Da werden die Trucks nochmal gereinigt und nicht nur die Trucks, sondern man sieht ja auch die Straßenreinigung ist früh morgens nochmal unterwegs. Hallo, schönen guten Morgen. Dementsprechend beginnen hier die Vorbereitungen für das erste Qualifying, the preparations for the first qualifying. This Sunday are on. One qualifying, you know it defines the rest of it. Ein Qualifying, das definiert natürlich den ganzen Rest, denn nachher haben wir ja das zweite Rennen, dann gibt es das Reverse Grid, kein Qualifying mehr dazwischen. Dementsprechend ist es jetzt auch super wichtig, schon mal gut reinzustarten in diesen Tag. It's absolutely important to get the starting right here, and as you can see, everyone is prepped right now. We're just waiting to get started. Wir freuen uns drauf, dass es gleich losgeht und wir müssen ein bisschen schauen, denn die Dutch Truck Racer, die kommen jetzt hier gerade noch von der Strecke. Die Niederländer sind gerade gefahren und fahren jetzt da runter zum Podium oder ins Paddock. The Dutch Racers are going up to the podium or to the Paddock, and we're just waving at them also and waiting for European contestants to compete. Wir warten natürlich jetzt auf unsere europäischen Teilnehmerinnen und Teilnehmer. Und das ist die erste da vorne. Steffi Halm, die fährt jetzt gerade schon mal raus. Und vor allen Dingen muss man da auch gucken. Immer spannend. Man hört es am Gepiepse, wenn es rückwärts geht. So if they're trying to drive backwards, you hear it from the beeping. She's the first to be out right here from the paddock. It's Steffi Halm. And that's a good start for us. And we welcome our commentators. And in 3 languages, of course, Francis Sebrian, Joachim Eberts, Jörg Hennig are on side here, and it's of course Chess Drakert, and we're just waiting, come on in, to see if Jochen Hahn is also getting out of the paddock right now. Wir gucken mal, ob Jochen Hahn jetzt rausfährt, stellen uns hier mal hin und schauen mal, guck mal, die Tür geht zu, da sind wir live dabei. Wenn Jochen Hahn, natürlich der 6-fache Champion, jetzt hier das Paddock das erste Mal am Sonntagmorgen verlässt mit einem frisch geputzten Truck. He's leaving the 6-time champion first day on this Sunday, the Paddock, with a freshly washed and polished truck in this white and blue colors. And we wave him farewell. This is what I meant. Always rely, if you're turning backwards, on the personnel as well. Natürlich muss man gucken, dass man hier, ist ja ein bisschen eng, ne? Man sieht das tatsächlich, man muss auch hier schon ganz gut Manöver fahren. Insofern, wir sind bereit für das erste Qualifying. Welcome to our commentators. Also Jungs und Mädels, viel Spaß.
Thank you, Christina. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunday here at the Nürburgring and the Truck Grand Prix and the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We hope you've had a fantastic weekend so far. We're certainly looking forward to this great final day of the weekend. Sunday is always a real buzz here at the Nürburgring. You can see the E-Unit truck on screen right now, and you can also see a little bit of dust down on the racing line. Unfortunately, during the previous Dutch truck racing race that we had, a good friend of mine, actually, Robin Kreutoff, had a huge engine failure down the start-finish straight. You can see where the truck went in a straight line, where that silver van is on the right-hand side. So they're just making sure that the circuit is properly prepared and all cleaned. They put a lot of cement dust and sand and things down to make sure that any of the liquid was all soaked up. So we should be good to go very soon. We're going to have a look at the highlights of race 2 from yesterday. Certainly a race that caught our attention. We had a great front row with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez alongside Antonio Albacete. That was as a result of the reverse grid. The two of them were really pleased to be alongside one another and hoping for a good old scrap, with Sascha Lenz and René Reiner just behind. It was a great start by Antonio, though. He covered off the right-hand side nice and quickly. René Reiner was soon through as well, and Jose Eduardo was having to defend against the rest of the pack. Norbert Kish had this moment with Lucas Hahn and Sascha Lenz in the opening laps, which meant that they were all shuffled around. Jochen Hahn had to get out of the way and give the position back as he had gained an advantage over the chicane. Clemens Hecker was unfortunately out of the race. I spoke to Hans Mollenhoff yesterday and he said it was an air pipe or an air line that had been broken with some contact, so they didn't want to risk damaging the truck. Clemens would then go on to win the go and stop competition yesterday evening, so their day got slightly better and they got some silverware for their troubles. Norbert Kish, though, on another great charge through the order. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez put up a great defence and then he had to defend from Jochen Hahn for the remainder. It was Norbert Kish and René Reinert, though, both trying to chase down Antonio Albacete for the race win. Antonio had a very difficult time, and apparently he was fighting the gearbox throughout the entire race. He had a lot of troubles with the gearbox while the race was going on, and then he managed to finish it in first place and take his first win of the season. There's the wonderful castle overlooking the circuit. You can see some work going on at the moment just to keep it in tip-top condition. It's a wonderful part of the scenery here at the excellent Nürburgring. And again, you can see, look, the preparation on the track there, just clearing any dust, clearing any fluids, just to make sure that the qualifying session here can go ahead. Norbert Kish making his way down the pit lane. They head to the end of the pit lane in championship order. And I can tell you that after yesterday, a lot of the top end of the championship is still the same. It's Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn and Steffi Halm. Funnily enough, they were first, second and third in the first race of the season and have been in that order in the championship ever since. René Reinert, fourth in the championship, is just 4 points behind Steffi, though. His second place yesterday has really helped his championship charge. Over in the Chrome Championship, it's nice and spicy. Just 4 points between Bradley Smith and Mark Taylor. Mark having 2 second places yesterday, Bradley having 2 fifth places. So not a day to remember for Bradley. He gave me a very honest answer in the paddock yesterday evening when I asked him how he was. He said he'd had a bad day, but in different words. But one of the good things is that his dad said is that it switches around for today. It's a fresh start. Let's go down and speak to Sven Walter, shall we, with Christina?
Ja, Don't Touch Racing, das Team aus Berlin mit Sven Walter. Schönen guten Morgen am Sonntag. Ihr seht frisch aus. Wie war die Nacht? Wie viel musstet ihr noch schrauben?
Guten Morgen. Wir haben wenig geschraubt. Wir waren, glaube ich, um 19:30, 20 Uhr waren die Jungs fertig gewesen, in Ruhe Abendbrot essen und dann ab in die Mühlenbach-Schleife.
8 o'clock, they've been finished, all job done, and they could head to the Mühlenbach-Schleife, to the great festival. What a great job from everyone. Was sind denn eure Erwartungen an den Tag jetzt?
Tja, auf jeden Fall besser als gestern. Ich hoffe, dass wir die Top 3 der Chrome-Class heute das mal schaffen, wieder aufs Podest zu kommen, so wie die ersten 3 Rennwochenenden. Und im Qualifying vielleicht mit P9 abschließen.
Also the expectations are high for this day. They're trying to get on the Chrome category podium with Bradley Smith, maybe top 3 and after qualifying P9. What do you need for that? Was braucht ihr denn dafür, damit ihr jetzt auch erstmal eine gute Zeit reinfahren?
Ans Limit des Autos gehen und nicht an das Limit des Fahrers. Der Fahrer muss ans Limit des Autos gehen und nicht an sein eigenes Limit.
So the driver, he needs to set a good pace up there here, the qualifying, and of course it's all about tactics here. Danke dir. Schönen guten Morgen.
Always great to hear from Sven Walter. He does a great job for the Don't Touch Racing team, a very tight-knit team that always provide good results. Although, like I just said with Bradley and his dad yesterday, they were saying that they're quite glad that the results don't roll over from one day into the next. You know, you get a new chance here today with qualifying, with a second qualifying session of the weekend to really start and work on that clean slate for a Sunday afternoon. We've got 2 races coming up later on this afternoon, of course. We have one just before midday, 11:35 our broadcast will go live, and then later on in the afternoon at about 2:30 we'll go live for race number 4 here at the Nürburgring to finish our weekend. The green lights are on at the end of the pit lane, and Norbert Kish makes his way out, leading Jochen Hahn, Steffi Halm, and then it should be René Reinert, but he's behind Sasha Lenz. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Antonio Albacete should be next up, but everybody else basically heading out in whatever their order they ended up in the pit lane in. We have a fantastic grid this weekend of 17 trucks, and by the look of it, all of them back out on the track now, just watching the timing screen to see that all of them make their way through. Luke Garrett has just gone out, Louis Riquenco, Stefan Kirsch and Christian Ruppert. It was great to finally meet Christian yesterday and to just explain how wonderful it is to see his enthusiasm for the championship and everything that we do here. He said it's been such a friendly paddock to be a part of. You know, he's learning the ropes. He's come into truck racing with minimal experience. He's gone right in at the deep end in the most competitive championship there is. And he's getting so much help from other drivers and other teams. You know, he's seen these big names on TV screens and all sorts for years, and now he's racing them on track, and they all have the time of day for him. They all help him improve and know what to work on, and it's just great to see. It really is great. There's Clemens Hecker going through shot. John Newell just behind. Luke Garrett, Louis Riquenco in the typically very plain colour scheme that he has, but still a very beautiful truck indeed. We were in the pit lane this morning for the warm-up session, complimenting the fantastic green colour of Louis' truck. Great looking machine. So too is that one as well. Stefan Faas in the number 24 Freightliner. It's always strange to see a Freightliner being worked on between the races because the cab doesn't lean forward like it does on some trucks. It sort of hops up on its jacks and leans backwards to expose the engine in the engine bay. Not easy to work on though, by the look of it. Not a humongous amount of space. A lot of these trucks have the engine behind the cab, so especially when they're in the pit lane or in the paddock, you'll often see engineers jumping over the bodywork and into the rear of the truck basically to be around the engine. The unmistakable rumble outside my window means that Norbert Kish, Jochen Hahn and the like have made their way down the start-finish straight now. Look at the brown dust being kicked up there from the circuit. It's almost like we've gone racing in Qatar or Bahrain or something, known for having their dusty circuits out in the desert. Not quite Bahraini weather outside at the moment, though. It's very typically Nürburgring-esque. It's been a bit of a gloomy, flat morning, but we all know that in time it will get sunnier and sunnier. Shorts and t-shirts at the ready, and sun cream as well after getting a slightly burnt forehead yesterday. Jochen Hahn on screen right now, the six-time champion, hoping to chase down Norbert Kish and keep him under pressure today. Hoping to take a pole position that a lot of the fans here at the Nürburgring would very much like to see. Diana Hahn was very happy yesterday after Jochen finished second in the first race and Lucas finished third. To have her two boys on the podium together must have been absolutely wonderful. And with the smile on her face, you could just see the pride bursting out of her. Norbert Kish, though, leading the pack around, hoping to get that pole position. And up to the final chicane, a pivotal part of the lap. Very heavy braking zone. It was quite pivotal yesterday, actually, in yesterday's second race, as Norbert Kish sent a move down the inside of that man there, Lucas Hahn, and Sascha Lenz. They were three wide. Sascha was given a 5-second penalty for the collision. It was clearly determined that Sascha should have been able to back out of the manoeuvre. Across the line then goes Sascha Lenz into third place. Steffi Halm was fourth, now drops down to fifth behind Lucas Hahn. René Reinert only managing sixth at the moment, 1.4 seconds off. Norbert Kish 153.7. Antonio Albacete up into second place. Clearly the gearbox is fixed and it's all good. Went to give Antonio and Tim Frost our congratulations yesterday after their victory, and they were hard at work and did a gearbox change, and I wondered why they didn't look too happy, but that may explain it actually, because they still knew they had a lot of work to do. Look at Mark Taylor up there in third place overall. Fantastic time by Mark. He wants to try and take the victories in the Chrome class today. Both of them went to Lucas yesterday, and now we have the part of the session where the trucks all slow down after their fast laps. Everybody now putting times on the board, and the ones outside of the top 12 are Stefan Faas, Louis Riquenco, Luke Garrett, Stefan Kirsch and Christian Ruppert. René Reinert down in 11th place, Bradley Smith in 12th. Those two are right on the brink of not going through into Q2, so I imagine they'll stay out on circuit, as will everybody in the lower positions. It's a nicely mixed up grid at the moment. Some great times going in there. John Newell will be happy up in 9th place. He'll probably feel quite safe there. Although, to be honest, he's got half a second or so over Stefan Faas in 13th position. I feel that he'll want more of a buffer than that, to be honest, and some of the drivers behind. Well, they're only a couple of tenths behind him. John's 1.18 seconds off, and Hecker, Reinert, they're both very close behind. They may feel the need to improve and try and get further up, just away from that danger zone. Mark Taylor there, 3rd place for him, 1,000th of a second faster than 6-time champion Jochen Hahn. And there is Stefan Faas making his way round the final corner then to push on to another lap. Rumbles past our window here in the commentary box. Lovely looking race truck, that. It's great to see a Freightliner back in the championship again. We dearly miss the Goodyear Freightliners, the likes of Theo Calve and Adam Lachko and Alia Kolok. Excellent machines they were. Bradley Smith actually raced in the Freightliner at the beginning of last season, I believe. It was the Ollie Janes Freightliner that was supposed to be raced by Ollie in a few rounds of the championship. Unfortunately, didn't make an appearance. But Bradley took the helm of that fantastic race truck and showed everybody what he could do. And it was from there that he obviously caught the attentions of Don't Touch Racing. And with the MAN that they were using, which Bradley still has actually, back in the UK, they were pulling in some fantastic results as a teammate to Andre Kurzim. Andre's still in the paddock, which is lovely. He's part of the T-Sport Bernau team now as a mechanic for those guys. It was him and Tim, funnily enough, that were doing the gearbox change excuse me, yesterday evening. Everybody up to 10th position in the pits at the moment then. It's René Reinert, Bradley Smith, Stefan Faas, Louis Requenco, Luke Garrett, Stefan Kirsch and Christian Ruppert still out on track. Stefan makes his way into the final chicane now. A big hop, skip and a jump over that inside curb. Those sausage curbs, they don't look too menacing when you see a race truck go over them, but I tell you what, when you're in someone's rental car, they are massive bits of kit, those curbs. Really, really aggressive run out of the final corner there for Stefan Faas. Across the line he goes, and his time is a 1:56.1, so he was 0.6 of a second off his best time. Not enough to move him up. Let's go and speak to Christina.
Ja, das ist immer wieder beeindruckend, hier direkt bei den Trucks zu stehen. Ihr seht ja, wie groß und massiv die hier sind. Und vor allen Dingen auch immer wichtig zu sehen, dieser kleine Tennisschläger hier oben. Wir sehen die grüne Seite nach vorne. Rot heißt, dass Norbert Kisch noch warten muss. So the red side inside means Norbert Kisch has to stop in his red balloon. Norbert, good morning. There's a bit of a liquid on the track. Does that have a massive influence, or how do you deal with that situation?
Oh yeah, for sure. I saw it. They try to clean it up, but still it's a bit sand and dirty. But yeah, you know, we have to watch out to keep your tires clean. So it has a bit of an impact, but you know, not a huge impact.
Also er sagt, sie sind natürlich da vorgewarnt, dass eben auf der Strecke noch ein bisschen Flüssigkeiten aufgenommen werden mit dem Sand, was man ja auch sehen kann. Das heißt, da müssen sie aber trotzdem noch ein bisschen vorsichtiger gerade jetzt fahren in der ersten Kurve. Of course, second day always, yeah, you need a good timing. You've got the first round in the books after, of course, the free practice. How do you feel yourself today? How confident are you?
Oh yeah, I think it's looking good. I think yesterday we were strong. As I said, we could improve the setup a bit so that the track feels good, the circuit feels good, you know. So I think we have a good chance for some good lap times. But you know, I have to be, you know, very careful because in the last section of qualifying, it's basically, you know, one lap qualifying. So you must not make any mistakes.
Thank you so much. Ja, er sagt natürlich, dass er sich ganz gut fühlt jetzt gerade in seinem Truck. Sie haben noch mal wieder so ein bisschen über die Nacht leichte Setup-Anpassungen gehabt. Sagt aber, man muss total vorsichtig sein. Das ist ja auch dieses Format des Qualifyings. Gerade dieser letzte Moment, das Q3, da wird es wichtig sein, da noch mal eine gute Zeit herauszufahren. Also er sieht auch die Konkurrenz im Nacken, Norbert Kisch.
Yeah, Norby very much there in the zone, ready to set another absolutely blistering qualifying time, I'm sure. We know that he'll be pushing on, but as you can see, and as you may have seen just at the end of the previous shot, Stefan Faas having a bit of an issue down into turn one. Norby saying that it's still a bit slippery with the fluid and the dust and everything that's been set down there. You can see Stefan actually weaving now to make sure that he gets everything off the tyres and cleans them up as quickly as possible. He's still got enough time to make it round for another lap, but it does mean that this sort of setup lap here will have to be a quick one. He'll have to push and make his way round. So the truck will be running at quite high temperatures. It won't be in the optimum window that he'll usually want to start a qualifying lap in. As Steffi Halm and Lucas Hahn in the pit lane. 7th and 8th positions respectively for them. There's Norbert Kisch right up at the top. Luke Garrett still on the circuit, trying to improve on his lap time. Currently finds himself in 15th position with a 1:57.3, his fastest time. Looks like it's really hooked up through there though, doesn't it? Looks really racy through the exit of the Mercedes-Benz Arena. There's Louis Requenco just ahead of him. These two came to blows in race one yesterday. And it was at that very corner, actually. The contact between the two of them was deemed to be Luke's fault. He had a small time penalty applied as a result of that, but he already finished quite far down the order anyway, so it didn't make any change to his position. Louis powers his way now down towards the long right kink. And as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen there, only the top 12 qualifiers will go through. This 15-minute qualifying 1 session sets up qualifying 2. Qualifying 2 is 10 minutes with 12 drivers, and then the top 6 go through into Q3. This format was introduced last season, and it's been really good fun so far. We've had some fantastic Q3 sessions where drivers, as Norby alluded to, only 1 lap to set a time. And the pressure is very much on. And we've seen some pretty spicy grids as a result of that. Let's go back down to Christina. She's with our Go and Stop winner.
Gestern hat er noch den Go-and-Stop-Wettbewerb gewonnen, Clemens Hecker. Bei der ersten Runde habe ich mir sagen lassen, hat er noch ein bisschen mehr weggekegelt, aber dann auf jeden Fall nochmal ein ganz großartiger Sieg. Hatte aber gestern auch tatsächlich Probleme mit dem Druck. Wollen wir heute mal nachfragen. Yesterday not Go-and-Stop-Winner, but he had some pressure problems. Guten Morgen, wie ist der Druck? Ist er da?
Guten Morgen, ja, wir sind zurück. Ich glaube Platz 10 jetzt. Gut.
So the pressure is on, but I'm also, yeah, he said he's in a good mood right now, but I want to know how did they change anything? Also ihr musstet ja ein bisschen anpassen, hat das alles geklappt, auch mit den Reparaturen?
Ja, wie gesagt, Freitag Ladedruckproblem. Gestern hatten wir im zweiten Rennen, habe ich einen Schlag in die Seite bekommen. Es ist die Zuleitung vom Kompressor abgebrochen, dadurch keine Druckluft mehr. Ich mühe im Not das Auto unten noch in der Schikane bremsen können, aber als ich dann wegfahren wollte, ging die Druckluft schon nicht mehr. Mussten wir aufgeben, dafür Go and Stop mitgenommen und wenn es heute so weiterläuft, jetzt gerade zufrieden.
So yesterday he had a problem with the boost pressure and they needed to fix that, and then at the second race there been a slightly crash at the side of him, so the air pressure was down then, but the team fixed it and they're really confident right now. As you can see, everyone is checking the time monitors here. Jill is also there. Ja, you can stay in the picture. Man kann doch hier immer im Bild bleiben, das ist doch alles gut. Also man merkt natürlich, hier wird nochmal auf den Monitor geschaut, aber dieses Team Hacker heute nochmal wesentlich besser drauf als gestern.
Yeah, Clemens Hecker having a very interesting evening yesterday, of course, after taking the victory in Go and Stop, although his first run didn't quite go to plan. He lost it slightly under braking, wiped out all of the cones, all the timing lasers, all sorts. Hans Mollenhoff dubbed it as good marketing as he showed off all 4 corners of the truck to the cameras and to the crowd. It was an absolutely hilarious night of go and stop action, which he ultimately won in the end. So congratulations to Clement Ecker for that. Hopefully his race day goes just as well today. 10th place in qualifying, though. It's looking good at the moment in terms of this pace, and that's exactly what they want to see. Luke Garrett, unfortunately, not able to improve there, and I don't think he crossed the line before the checkered flag, although it seems like he's still pushing. So he may have gotten away with that. We'll have to see. See if he continues on pushing on this lap or whether he's just doing that for the first few corners. As he goes through the Mercedes arena, looks like we will lose, as it stands, Stefan Faast, Louis Riquenco, Luke Garrett, Stefan Kirsch and Christian Ruppert. Whittling down the 17 trucks to 12. There, Bradley Smith coming into the pit lane. He makes it through, as we say in the UK, by the skin of his teeth into Q2. And the team will prepare the truck and just make sure everything cools down nicely ahead of the next session. A lot of the time in these sessions, they'll go out with pretty full water tanks into Q1. And then as they head into Q2 and Q3, sometimes in the pit lane, you'll see them releasing the pressure and letting some of the water out just to save a bit more weight into the extra parts of qualifying where they know that the lap times are even more paramount. As the field gets smaller and smaller, you've got less of a chance of making it through, of course. Norby ready to lead the queue back out onto track once more. Antonio Albacete behind him, then Mark Taylor right up at the sharp end, although it doesn't look like Mark's taken to the end of the pit lane behind them there. I think he's a bit further back in the queue. There he is, actually, making his way now to the end of the pit lane. And yeah, I don't think that, unfortunately, Luke Garrett was given enough time to improve on his lap. Yeah, he's into the pit lane there. You can just see him coming in now. Real shame that for Luke, down in 15th position. Still ahead of Stefan Kirsch. He's 6/10 clear of Stefan and then Ruppert. Let's go back to Christina.
Ja, und Mark Taylor hat eine super Zeit reingefahren, deswegen wollen wir mal ganz kurz nachhaken, woran das liegt. Wie klappt es denn heute Morgen so gut?
Vermutlich an einer gut geschlafenen Nacht und einem guten Frühstück.
Was gab es denn zum Frühstück?
Ein Stück weit englisches Frühstück, Bacon, Ei.
Alles klar, das ist die geheime Zutat. Vielen herzlichen Dank. Also, the secret ingredient of Mark Taylor is the British breakfast. It's the typical British breakfast, Chaz. You love it.
Always good to know. Maybe a better way to start my day when I come to these race meetings. I'll have to nip down to Taylor's and see the guys and see if they can snap something up. But that's what it's all about. It's all in good fun here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. The teams and the drivers all have a wonderful sense of humour, and they know that at the end of the day, we're all here for the same reason, and it's for the love of truck racing and great competition in this amazing corner of motorsport that we know and love. Everybody then waiting with bated breath for the next part of qualifying. René Reinert there just ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Bradley Smith waiting to make his way back out as well. Like I say, just getting through in that one there. 12th position for Bradley. And he's got Mark Taylor parked right next to him there as well. Mark, the driver that he needs to keep the closest eye on in the championship. Just 4 points between them. Bradley's on 131. So far this season, he's had 8 podium appearances in Chrome, 2 wins. Mark has had also 8 podiums, actually. No, 7 podiums, sorry, but 4 wins, which is what keeps them so close together. Bradley actually had sort of repeat race meetings. From Lausitzring to Slovakia Ring, he got first, second, third, and then the race got cancelled. And then at Slovakia Ring, he had first, second, third, and the race got cancelled. This time, though, 5th place in both of them. No Chrome podiums for him so far. The Chrome podium positions have gone to the likes of Lucas Hahn, Stefan Faast, Mark Taylor and John Newell so far this weekend. You can see there the trucks of Luke Garrett and Stefan Kirsch making their way back into the paddock now after their qualifying session was cut short. And out onto the circuit then goes Norbert Kisch ahead of Antonio Albacete, Jochen Hahn and René Reinert. Need to catch up with René today at some point to finish off the collection of autographs that we're trying to get over the course of the weekend. René was having a nap yesterday when we went to visit him. And as I said during the second race, he was rather revitalised as a result, taking a second place overall, his third podium of the season. 2 second places and a win as well, so he's not even finished third at any point so far this season. He's had first through to 7th, finished every race that we've had, but he's not finished in third once all season. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez also hoping for more points today. He's got 60 in the championship so far. His best result of the season is a 3rd place at the Slovakia ring. He had a tough time at the Lausitz ring with an 11th place. And so far this weekend he's mustered an 8th and a 5th. He started on pole position yesterday actually for race 2 as well. And we know that he would have been hoping for more from that pole position, but he's not quite had the same pace that we'd seen him have in the Chrome class last season. He's not stepped it up that notch that he's needed to just yet, but he's had to adapt to fighting the Titan drivers as opposed to the Chrome drivers. There goes Norbert Kisch across the line, flying down the straight in Baloo Junior, this wonderful MAN that the team had built over the last year or so. Look at the speed they carry into turn 1, and well, maybe a little bit too much actually in the case of Norbert Kisch there, who goes straight on. Big lockup with the front left, manages to keep it on the road, but definitely not the ideal racing line there for Norby. He'll be wanting to go for another lap after this one, I imagine. He'll maybe dial this one back slightly. A little bit wide there of the mark for Antonio Albacete as well. And lovely drone shots again as he makes his way out of the Mercedes-Benz arena. Jochen Hahn just in the background there, while Antonio pushes on with his new gearbox. He'll probably go and nip by T-Sport Burnau after the session and see how said gearbox is holding up, see what Antonio thinks. Seems to be performing well though. He was 2nd fastest in that earlier session. The truck looks good though at the moment, doesn't it? Nice and clean and tidy. Antonio is typically straightforward driving style. He's never one of the drivers that's been the most flamboyant, you know, throwing the back end out everywhere and overdoing it. He always just looks like he's either on rails or not. Kisch there hopping over the curbs through the chicane. It always looks like that truck has such a great platform about it. Always looks really, really flat and balanced. You get the lean of the cab, of course, but the actual base of the truck just never looks like it's under any threat of breaking away. It looks great. Across the line then, to put his first time on the board, it was, 153s earlier. He still manages a 153, even with that mistake down at turn 1. Antonio Albacete still just over a 10th of a second off. Jochen Hahn now goes fastest by a 1/4 of a second. René Reinert goes 4th, a second down on the fastest time. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez displaces him. Mark Taylor will cross the line just now. He goes 7th. Lucas Hahn goes 4th. And then 2nd place goes Sasha Lenz, 43 thousandths off. Steffi Halm up into 6th position. John Newell goes 10th for now. Clemens Hecker going into 11th place, now 12th place as Bradley Smith moves up into 10th. Lots of movement there between all of the positions. But I wonder whether we'll see another time from Norbert Kisch. I think he's happy enough knowing that he'll get through into Q3 with the lap time that he's set. Antonio overtakes him there on the cool-down lap. I imagine a few of the drivers in the lower half of the order will probably try and improve on their times. It looks like Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and René Reinert haven't done so, and Bradley Smith is having his time deleted for a penalty marker in turn 10. So Bradley now needs to use this cool-down lap to his advantage. And then push on to set a new time. There's Sasha Lenz, he'll be happy at the moment. Second place for him. Good stuff on home soil. So far his weekend has mustered a 6th and an 8th. Not the sort of performances that he'd be wanting to see on his scorecard. He was 3rd in the warm-up session this morning. If you ask any of the drivers, unless they're fastest in the warm-up session, they'll all say that the warm-up doesn't really matter in terms of times, but you have to push the machine and get the most out of it that you can. I'm intrigued to see now whether Norby goes for another lap. It looks like he's not. Looks like, is that Steffi Helm that might be doing so? Yeah, Steffi, I think, winding up for another lap. We'll see. René Reinert definitely is. He's in 8th place at the moment. You won't be too happy with that one. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez as well, also going for it. And Steffi Helm. Steffi Helm also doing another lap. So too is Clement Hecker. I expect to see Bradley Smith pop round the last corner as well in a moment. Mark Taylor also going for another one. I think John Newell also wanting to improve. So, yeah, a number of them trying again. They may as well at the end of the day. They've got the time to do it left in the session. René, one of just 3 race winners so far this season. With a single victory at the Lausitzring. Antonio Albacete joined them with a win yesterday here at the Nürburgring, while Norbert Kisch has won all the other 10 races that we've had so far. Clean sweep at Misano to start the season. And then at races 1 and 3 at the Lausitzring, all 3 races at the Slovakia Ring as well. A great race for those that weekend. Now René heading up towards the final few corners of the lap. Into the chicane he goes. Around the final corner, nice and smooth there from René Reinert. Really lovely stuff. Manages to run a little bit wide on the exit though, quite eager on the throttle. Let's see what his lap time has in store. That puts him into the top 6. That puts him into Q3. But what about the other drivers crossing the line? Jose Eduardo Rodriguez improves, moves up into 7th place. But again, that's not enough for him to go through. That improvement by René Reinert just enough. Now Mark Taylor displaces him. There's only about 40 thousandths of a second or 400ths of a second between the 3 of them. It's almighty close. But Mark Taylor in the Chrome class is aiming to join Lucas Hahn up there in Q3. René Reinert at the moment 7th, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez 8th, Steffi Helm down in 9th. John Newell is the best of the rest in the Chrome class ahead of Clement Hecker and Bradley Smith, who's put a time on the board good enough for just 12th place. Mark Taylor will be really pleased with that, but he'll be on pins now, hoping that nobody improves. The clock ticks down to 0, and let's go down to Christina.
Neuer Tag, neues Getriebe. So das Motto jedenfalls bei Antonio Albacete und dem Team von Tim Frost. Hello guys, new day, new gearbox. Does it work?
Yeah. It's the easy
Die
answer.
funktioniert, das ist die einfache Antwort, das ist doch gut. How many hours did it take to change?
We found a small issue with a component on the engine where the input shaft goes in, so we had to change this, so it took a little bit longer, and we didn't have any stress last night, so no damage, so we just took our time, and I think we were finished around 8-9 p.m. And then, of course, we went down to the Mullenbach-Schleifer and had a beer. So.
That sounds great, thank you. Also sie haben es gestern zumindest auch noch in die Mühlenbach-Schleife geschafft. Bis 9 Uhr abends haben sie es ausgetauscht. So ein kleiner Input war nämlich auch noch vorher defekt. Dementsprechend haben sie das eben auch noch gefixt. Antonio, how confident are you right now with the maybe new settings right now, the second day here at the Nürburgring?
Yeah, I feel good, but it's very tough, you know. I mean, I think that the times are very close. So I think now to be in the top 6 is quite difficult. So I think we are lucky if we can stay in the top 6 and go for the Super Pole.
Do you need to get out ahead of it, or do you just watching the monitor right now? Is it okay? Can you stay in the top 6 right now?
Well, I think so, yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be tough. I will try to do my best and see if we can improve a little bit. But as I tell you, it's quite tough. It's difficult.
Thank you. Ja, ganz spannend von Antonio Albacete, der sagt, es ist diesmal so schwer, hier überhaupt in diesen Top 6 zu bestehen. Habe ich ihn gefragt, reicht denn die Zeit denn aus? Er sagt, ja, müssen wir schauen, aber wir müssen uns wirklich anstrengen, damit wir heute hier eine gute Zeit rausfahren. So, die Tür ist wieder zu, deswegen kann es gleich weitergehen. The door's closed, we're ready to go again.
Thank you, Christina. Great to hear from Antonio and from Tim. And we've had some lap times deleted here, importantly. Bradley Smith losing his second time. And also René Reinert losing, I think, his improved lap time. So I don't know whether that'll drop him back down at all, but I'll check. I'll keep my eye on the timing screen and check for you all at home. And see whether René stays on the board or whether he just completely loses his best time. Because I think he set 2 fast laps, so he should be okay to stay on the board, but not enough to get into the top 6. But Bradley Smith, unfortunately, losing his time again to the penalty marker in turn 10. He's having a really rough weekend so far. They didn't quite have the truck in the right place to have the pace on Saturday. But as his dad said, they get a fresh start today. It seems like, though, they still need a little bit more luck on their side for the day to run their way. René Reinert will probably need a bit of the same from 7th on the grid. Not the usual qualifying performance we see from René. And now he makes his way into the pit lane to complete the session. Now you can see them all lined up, ready to go from the end of the pit lane. Mark Taylor will be really pleased to be in that top 6 then and back out on track. Q3 just around the corner then. The lights at the end of the pit lane will go green at 9:50 local time. I believe it's 9:49 now. As everybody makes their way back down, you can see René Reinert's team making their way out of the pit lane, head back to the paddock, and they will debrief on what's been a bit of a difficult qualifying session this morning. 3 wide at the end of the pit lane there. It's almost like a speedway start this. They just need a 4th one on the end. And then the cameraman there proving me wrong that they're not actually 3 wide, but still. A compressed order at the end of the pit lane there. It's almost like they're waiting to see who can jump out of the blocks first. Norbert Kish so used to leading the pack away in these qualifying sessions that he won't really like to follow these guys. And there it is, right on 9:50. Pit lane opens. Jochen Hahn leading them out. Sascha Lenz in 2nd place. And they should get just 1 lap then to see what they've got. They probably have time for 2 around here at the Nürburgring if they do a fast enough out lap. But with the temperatures and everything that they will accrue during the first fast lap, they will trouble themselves to improve on that for a second run round. it's only a case of if they don't get a what we call a banker time on the board to make sure they've at least got a lap on the timing sheets, then yeah, they'll have to obviously push for a second one. It won't be the fastest lap they'll ever do, but at the end of the day it'll be enough to get them on board, and you never know what you can get from these laps. So we'll see as the trucks make their way now out of the Mercedes-Benz arena for the first time. Just 5 minutes this Q3 session. A nice bit of showing of the Ford Trucks logo there as one of the partners of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We're very lucky here to have a fantastic host of partners. Of course, the title sponsor, Goodyear. We also have Iveco on board, Total Energies, Alcoa, Krona, Yoast, and Eurovag as well. And Ford Trucks providing the Ford F-Max, the official truck of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We'll be seeing that twice today, making its way around the circuit before races 1 and 2 as May Fisher drives around to do her inspection laps and make sure the circuit is all prepared and good to go. So you can see the drivers now leaving a gap between one another. And make sure that they have enough space so that if they do catch the truck in front, they aren't completely caught out and it doesn't ruin their qualifying session. Because at the end of the day, they're all going to be pushing for the fastest lap they can. There's no obligation to move over and get out of the way. Jochen Hahn runs nice and wide out of the final corner then to get a good run down the start-finish straight to begin his first qualifying lap in Q3 here at the Nürburgring in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Sascha Lenz next up behind him, and then Norbert Kisch. Two of the Chrome drivers in this session as well, Lucas Hahn and Mark Taylor. Mark not necessarily worrying too much about Lucas, because Lucas is a race-by-race entrant, so he'll still be scoring points. But at the end of the day, Mark only needs to worry about where Bradley Smith will be in the field to try and take that championship lead. Waiting for them now to come out of the hairpin. Jochen Hahn, the first one to make his way around. Just a minute and a half left of the session, so they'll definitely be able to get another lap in. But like I say, it's down to the temperatures they need to be careful with as Mark Taylor slides his way out of the arena and makes sure that he doesn't smack into the penalty marker there. The penalty markers here are not quite as tall as the ones that we use at other circuits. A lot of them are usually around 5 feet tall. These wonderful foam markers that get absolutely annihilated at every race meeting. Through the kink they go. 100 miles an hour through there, 160 Ks. The drivers have the fine art of truck racing to deal with, where they have to keep the truck underneath that 160 Ks as Sascha Lenz gracefully slides out of the chicane. Look at how well they absorb the curbs through there. Ooh, Antonio has a bit of an aggressive bounce, kicks up a little bit more dust than the others. And here we go then. Just over 30 seconds left on the clock, and let's see what the times look like. Jochen Hahn with a 1:53.7. That's a good time. Is Sascha Lenz going to beat him? No, he's not. 2.5 tenths off. What about Norbert Kisch? Up to the top goes Norby, a 1:53.1. And Albacete joins him at the front. Albacete displaces Jochen Hahn and Sascha Lenz. Maybe half a second in it, but I tell you what, he's done a great job. What about the Chrome drivers? Lucas Hahn goes 5th. Does Mark Taylor beat him? No, he's about half a second off there. And I think that may be all she wrote, but Norbert Kisch, top again, 1:53.1. An incredible time that is. We were watching the earlier Dutch Truck Racing Championship, and with no disrespect to any of those competitors, because they're all wonderful people and great racing drivers, but I think the fastest lap in their race that they did this morning was in the 1:57s. Norbert Kisch just absolutely setting the circuit alight. It may be not very hot here this morning at the Nürburgring. It's quite a gloomy start to the day. I tell you what, Norby's certainly bringing some temperature with him. That's an awesome time. Half a second over Antonio Albacete, who looked like he was on a push lap there, but I think he's actually wound it back as there's been a time deleted as well for Mark Taylor. I think he must have hit a penalty marker somewhere. I'm just going to check to see. Yes, turn 11. Mark Taylor hit the penalty marker, so that time unfortunately has been wiped from the record. But all the drivers either in the low 54s or low 53s. Great pace in that final Q3 session there. That's awesome. Less than a second covering the 5, but Norbert Kish over half a second clear. I tell you, that Q2 session may not have gone his way with that little mistake, but he made Q3 work. Here's Mark then through the chicane. Nice tidy little clip of each one into the final corner. He's going to try and beat Lucas Hahn's time, but at the end of the day, he's had 2 consecutive fast laps. The trucks don't always perform at their best. He's going to rumble past our commentary box window here. And as he crosses the line, it's enough for a 1:55.5. Not a time that he will be too proud of. But still, he'll be happy about the fact that they got up into the top 6. Jochen Hahn just coasts on by. So too Antonio Albacete. They could have come straight back into the pit lane, but they've decided to go for another lap around the track, because why not? But Antonio, well, he'll be over the moon. They have had such a difficult start to the year here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And to get that race victory yesterday, it meant a lot to them, but you could see that they still weren't entirely pleased because they knew that there was big gearbox issues to sort out after the gearbox had basically broken itself over the course of the race. But now, well, Antonio is back on the front row of the grid, which is great to see. It wasn't just a flash in the pan, and it wasn't just because they got the reverse grid front row. He's gone out there and proven that he's got the pace. Still, after so many years in motorsport, Antonio is on it, absolutely on it. Legendary racing driver over in Spain and all over Europe, to be fair. He's raced for so many different manufacturers. He's been Formula Renault champion. He's won touring car championships and all sorts. There's Norbert Kish then at the top of the times, 1:53.147, an absolutely blistering time, with Antonio Albacete, who will join him on the front row. Then it's Jochen Hahn alongside Sasha Lenz on row 2. Lucas Hahn and Mark Taylor will do battle for the Chrome class on row 3. Great stuff to see both of them in the qualifying 3 session there. They have displaced René Reinert, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Steffi Halm. John Newell finishes in the top 10, ahead of Clemens Hecker, who seems to be a bit more revitalised today, ahead of Bradley Smith. Then it's Stefan Faas, Louis Riquenco, Luke Garrett, and Stefan Kirsch, with Christian Ruppert completing the field in 17th position. And let's head down, shall we, to speak to Christina.
Und manchmal ist es so gemein und manchmal kann es so knapp sein. René Reinert, die letzte Zeit wurde gestrichen, dann aus den Top 6 doch noch rausgepurzelt, jetzt gerade beim Scrutineering gewesen. Jetzt schon erste Erkenntnisse?
Ja, das Auto ist okay. Ja, war ein bisschen verrücktes Qualifying. War schon davor die Ansage irgendwie in der ersten Kurve, der erste Anbremsen in der ersten Kurve ist Diesel auf der Strecke. Natürlich habe ich die Linie wieder erwischt, wo der Diesel war, schon in der ersten Runde, und dann bin dann durchgerutscht. Habe deswegen eine schlechte Rundenzeit gehabt im Q1 schon. Und, ja.
Kurz übersetzen, damit ich so alles direkt bekomme. Also quickly translate for international viewers. So he said it's been a crazy ride because then, of course, we had some oil or diesel spilling there on the track, and his perfect line was exactly through that spilled diesel, and so he missed the best timing and then continued. How?
Yeah, then I was only P11. I can in Englisch sprechen wir Deutsch. Dann, ja, also Platz 11 dann nach der ersten Runde. Das war natürlich knapp dann zum 13., weil die ersten 12 kommen weiter. Das heißt, ich bin dann im Kreis gefahren, 3 Runden lang, immer langsam. Ne? Die wollten die Reifen schonen, aber immer das Risiko, dass einer noch mit den 11. Platz oder 12. Platz wegnimmt. Das war schon ein bisschen verrückt. Und dann war ich aber auf dem 11. Nach dem Q1, dann Q2. Eigentlich auch gut reingekommen, aber wieder beim selben Anbremsen war ich weiter Jochen. Ja, auch vielleicht ein bisschen spät gebremst, aber dann wieder stehende Räder gehabt und wieder dann eine halbe Sekunde verloren, eine Sekunde fast verloren in der ersten Kurve. Der Rest war okay, der war richtig gut, sodass ich dann auf Platz 8 war, noch nach der ersten Runde. Und dann die zweite Runde, jetzt im Q2, dann war eigentlich ganz gut. Haben alle sich schon gefreut, Mensch, hast du doch geschafft, Platz 6. Und dann war es aber irgendwie ein Penalty-Marker. Ich habe den gar nicht gemerkt. Ich weiß nicht wo. Müssen wir mal gucken im Video. Oder vielleicht sagen sie uns doch die Stewards, wo es gewesen sein soll. Und dann wurde die Zeit gestrichen. Und dann war es eben doch nur jetzt, weiß ich, 7 oder 8. Schade.
Yeah, absolutely. He hit the penalty marker and he needs to check the video because he could not remember when and where it was. But the steward said he hit the penalty marker. This is why the last time was deleted. But first of all, he was really fighting tough. And thanks for the insight because he was starting then. He was on P11. And then the problem is you don't know. You never know if some contestant is driving faster than you. So you try to save the tires 3 rounds, just slurring over on the track. But then, he knew he made it, and then off to P8 it was. But then the good timing and everybody was cheering up. But finally the decision, nope, you're out of the top 6. But how can you come back from that? Wie kann man denn aus sowas wieder zurück und Stärke finden?
Ja, Qualifying ist Qualifying, Rennen ist Rennen, kann immer viel passieren und wie gesagt, schon wissen alle, Nürburgring gerade die erste Kurve, die Strecke ist breit, ne? Jeder will schon beim Start irgendwo überholen und dann gehen alle in die erste Kurve gemeinsam rein und gestern habe ich auch im zweiten Rennen 2 Plätze gewonnen, du kannst natürlich auch mal 5 Plätze verlieren in der ersten Kurve, also die Hoffnung ist da, noch ein bisschen nach vorne fahren zu können und und dann auch zu schauen natürlich fürs zweite Rennen, wie man sich da positionieren kann, aber wie schon gesagt, man braucht mal ein bisschen Glück auch dazu, überhaupt durchzukommen. Ich hatte auch schon viele Rennen am Nürburgring, da war schon in der ersten Kurve Schluss, das ist immer das Hauptziel, dass man erstmal durchkommt und im Rennen bleibt und dann einfach gucken, was geht.
Vielen herzlichen Dank. Gute Vorbereitung. That was really Reinhard. So he said, fingers crossed for the first turn. That's the really crucial point here at the Nürburgring. He had some experience there when the race was finished at the first turn. He said he needed to be very, very well prepared for that. And of course, the race, they're really now optimistic. And then for the second race, they also need, because of the reverse grid, a good position to get through it all. So well, fingers crossed that everyone will make it through turn number 1 and 11:35. This is the first race of the Sunday, meaning race 3 in total of this race weekend here at the Nürburgring. So we say farewell until then, say bye-bye, all the best. Vielen herzlichen Dank. Good preparations. As you can see, the fans are right now walking through the paddock. It's getting, it was a bit cloudy, but the sun shines through here and there, and we're following them, everyone up and having a good time over here. Bye-bye. Wir sagen Tschüss.